What's an injury you sustained, and lied about how it actually happened, because it was too embarrassing? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. I was once buttering toast with my face really close to it. I like my butter to be spread precisely. Then I sneezed and slammed my head on the counter, effectively knocking myself out, and had to go to the ER to be treated for a concussion. I once fell out of bed and cracked my head open on a metal frame. Blood everywhere, visit, stitches etc. I was about 6 years old. I still have the scar decades later. My mother literally changed our beds even though we really couldn't afford it to safer ones. The truth is, I didn't want to go to bed, so I flung myself out of bed to pretend to be hurt and maybe get to stay up for a short while longer. I was removing facial hair using a remover cream. I ended up leaving it on for too long, which caused burns. I told people I dropped hot noodles on my face. I dislocated my kneecap while masturbating. Lied and said I was falling off my bed when I woke up from a dream. I got surgery a few years ago on my knees as I had dislodged some loose cartilage in the joint and also torn a bit of my meniscus. At the time I was playing a ton of ultimate frisbee, so I just told people it was that. It actually happened when I was getting up from a chair. Was getting hot and heavy with my boyfriend at the time. He reached under my shirt and unhooked my bra and then pulled my shirt and bra up over my head at the same time. As he did this, the underwire in my cheap-ass bra popped out and left a huge scratch right across my forehead. I made up some story about digging through my closet looking for something and getting scratched by a hanger. I got a black eye as a kid. I slipped and fell into the support beam of my basketball rim. My dad made me lie to my other family members and say I got it defending some kids at school. He was pretty embarrassed at how terrible I was at basketball, lol. I cut my thumb with an axe. The cut was almost to the bone. I never told anyone because I was told not to play with the axe. This is when I was 6 years old. Fully took off my nail while playing football. I said. Was playing sport. Just an intense game of swordfighting on Wii Sport Resort and slammed my hand really hard on a table. I have a 1.5 stab wound scar on my left bicep. When I was younger and attractive girls asked me how it happened, I would tell them it happened during a fight where someone pulled a knife on me. Actually, I worked in a butcher shop of a market when I was in my late teens. Part of my job was to collect all the carving knives from the prep area, put into a large plastic bin, and carry them behind the deli case to the kitchen to wash. One time coming back out of the kitchen, I failed to notice that someone had opened the trap door to the basement in my direct path. While I was in the kitchen, the plastic bin obscured my view. I took one fateful step opposite to the stairs side and tumbled into the basement, with the contents of the bin raining down around me. Somehow I escaped with only a twisted ankle and the aforementioned stab wound in my arm, for which I had to go to the ER for stitches. I'll always remember being dazed, sitting at the bottom of the stairs looking up and seeing a meat cleaver embedded in one of the steps. I have a scar that crossed my left eyebrow. It looks badass and I made it during a fight against a man with a knife. At least that is what I tell everybody, because saying my PS2 fell on my face cause I tried to lift it while not paying attention may be too stupid. I have these really ugly shoes that I wear around the house that my husband absolutely hates. I was taking laundry down the stairs and I fell down the stairs because of the shoes. I couldn't tell him that because then he will be correct that my shoes are stupid, so I told him that the dog ran between my legs and made me fall. I once punched a bowling ball because I was frustrated. It turns out bowling balls are pretty hard. Broke my hand, it was swollen and bloody. Told my boss at work I slammed my hand in a door, it's still broken. This was like 6 months ago. I haven't exactly lied about it, but depending on who I'm talking to, I have been leaving out some important details. I got my wife an electric scooter for her birthday. The day she got it, we went out for a ride. I was on my electric skateboard. It had recently rained a bit, so the pavement was a little wet, but not too bad as long as you were careful. I got the idea to pretend to fart and get a speed boost from it. So I made a farting sound and totally gunned it. Since the pavement was damp, my board slid out from under me and I went down directly in front of my wife. She didn't have time to stop, so she also fell. We both got some scrapes and bruises. Unfortunately, she got it worse than I did. When telling the story, I've left out the fart boost part if it's someone I'm not really close to. Edit, hey, thanks for the silver. Got drunk. Fell on my face on pavement. Said the huge gash on my forehead down to my cheek was from rugby. To be fair, it was during a rugby social. Was drunk walking home at 4 a.m., crossed a few train tracks, and came across a 2-meter-high fences with tiny cylinders on top. I make the jump because I think I can. I fall. After standing up, worrying about my back pain, I looked at my arm. My arm was completely torn open, covered in blood because it got stuck on the fence. I came into the ER. The nurse says she'd seen shark bites before in Australia, and this looked worse. I had 49 stitches, and now have a scar from a shark bite. Haha, edit, added the pictures for you all. Please be careful when opening them if you can't handle the gross stuff and all. Pictures it too, and this was the kind of fence edit 3, my arm now, sorry for the flex and the clothes, but I'm working at home to my arm no edit 4, thanks for the gold stranger smiley face. I was jerking off, my hand slipped off and them came crashing down onto the tip, didn't hurt, but when I looked down, blood was squirting out, and not just a little blood, a lot of blood. I was wearing a white shirt. I told my family that I somehow managed to punch my dick by accident, gives a whole new meaning to, not my proudest fap. My grandmother noticed a mark on my forehead. It was round and just under an inch in diameter. She asked me what happened. Without missing a beat I straight up replied with, I burnt my head with my hair straightener. She grumbled that I should be more careful. What really happened, you ask? I got my head stuck between the back seat and back arm rest of a car, while rooting in the back seat, winking face. I was shit-faced and fell in the parking lot of my friend's apartment and busted my face wide open at her birthday party. The birthday party just so happened to be the night before a second date with this really cute girl I met on Tinder. Went on the date and told the girl that a dog at work had knocked me over and I fell on my face. I work with dogs and me being put on my ass by a Great Dane or some other huge pup isn't unusual, and she understood. While on the date some guys came up to me and rudely asked me WTF happened to my face. My Tinder date grabbed my hand and made up some story about how I got in a fight defending her honor and a bar or some nonsense. I could hardly keep a straight face while she was telling the story, but she sold the shit out of it. It wasn't until a few days later I told her the real story of how I got hurt. Tinder date and I are getting married soon. Was out of works for months with this one. Broke my finger and severed the tendon catching a heavy door to hold for a cute girl. A scar across my forehead. I got it from hitting my head on a fan as a child, and it's still kind of there. I always just say that my cat scratched me and it went pretty deep, therefore the reason it's still there. I've been waiting 25 years for this moment. As a 10-year-old boy, my friend had a mini hoop on his closet door in his room. We would always shoot the ball while playing Super Nintendo or whatever. One day we started shooting and then had a real one-on-one game, with dribbling, score-keeping, etc. I went for a dunk and didn't realize the closet doorknob was missing and it was just jagged metal jutting out of the door. I remember looking down and seeing my shorts torn open and a bloody gash and I was in shock. The cut was inches from my man parts. This was a close one. It wasn't bleeding a ton and I could see fat and other strange shit. It was a couple inches long and I was a fucking idiot 10 years old, so I got a bunch of bandages from his house and limped home, neosporin and bandages for weeks until it healed. Never told my parents, not sure why, I have a visible scar to this day. Finally, a story I can share. I was playing football, soccer, with a bunch of friends. I was 12. Since we were all still school kids, one team was usually gonna steamroll the other. On this occasion, I happened to be the keeper on the winning team, so I had nothing to do and I was really bored. I decided it was a good time to do some pull-ups, and so I grabbed the crossbar of the goalpost, and pulled myself up. Once I was on top, I stuck out my legs for fun. And got them stuck in the net. I ended up falling to the ground, and I stuck out my hands to prevent myself from breaking my tailbone. I eventually found out that I'd broken my left wrist, with one of the bones inside the wrist being pushed out of position and slightly fractured. What I told my parents, and the doctor too lol, was that I was running after the ball, and tripped over something, thus causing me to fall face first and break my wrist. TLDR, broke wrist doing a pull-up on a goalpost. Told parents and doctor that I tripped while running after a football. Thanks for watching, please leave a like and subscribe for more content.